It is the moment that virtually nobody's been waiting for. It's the best new stuff accountants got in 2022. Combination of stuff from my newsletter that a bunch of people clicked on and stuff that I just liked, okay? Stick around to the end. I'm gonna award my annual favorite new thing accountants got in the year. Big deal. It is a big deal. Don't miss it. Okay, little newt. This one was burning down Twitter for a while. It's almost a new category of tax prep tool. Basically, you connect it to QBO. It auto-generates a whole pile of work papers based on the data that it pulls out of that QuickBooks file. Gives you a way to make like book and tax adjustments. Then we'll also push that data into your tax software. And it's an interesting new category of kind of automated work paper generation. We saw this with Audit Miner as well in that AI CPA Startup Accelerator video, but the idea that you don't need to be the one to generate all those supporting docs, I get behind that. The software is connecting to the API and it can give you a standardized workbook that will serve as your work papers automatically. Doubly cool is that they've gone through the work of building out the tax integrations as well, which is no small task. Okay. Might be boring on the surface. I'll tell you why it's a big deal. This was a biggie. They rolled out an integration that syncs Gusto employee headcount and billing data into Ignition, which means your fixed recurring billing to the client can increase or decrease relative to your Gusto fees. So you know the age-old problem of I bill my client X, but QuickBooks or whoever else just increased fees. And now what do I do with my fees? This solves that. I would love to see ledger integrations for Ignition. QuickBooks, Xero, pass all that stuff through Ignition. Just getting to the point where those fees just pass through you straight to the client. When they change the client's billing. Oh, that would be so nice. Digits released the hottest reports you've ever seen. It's gonna make your partner and look for some. Basically, you connect it to your QuickBooks file and it gives you a nice little executive summary in addition to financials that are presented in like a friendlier way than the vanilla financials. But the big deal here was Digits released this reporting for free. Like, what did you ever do for them? And it's got that very, very signature Digits look, right? There's a lot of like green sheets on things and just reminds you that this is all probably just a simulation. They built some other stuff too. They've got an error detection app, a better version of like QuickBooks' search, and they just launched transaction review for uncategorized transactions. But you would know that because you read my newsletter, right? Right? Simple ML for Sheets. Google released a basic little machine learning extension that you can use with Google Sheets data. It'll do stuff like predict values, spot abnormalities, and even like identify patterns in the data. This one's interesting because you've got apps that will sync data out of QuickBooks into Sheets automatically, meaning you could put simple ML on top of that QuickBooks data on an automated basis. Run some cool analysis, helps your clients somehow. Plus then in your marketing, you could be like, hey, we use machine learning, look at how cool we are. Okay, Ryan Lozanis' 2023 Future of Accounting Guide. Bless his heart, he does this every year and it's just a great roundup. He runs through like biggest changes, like tech changes, but also just like industry changes, stuff to look out for, stuff to be aware of. And honestly, like it's the sort of thing that I think 80% of our people in the profession that maybe aren't as connected aren't thinking about. Send it to your friends, send it to your mom, whoever needs to see it. Get on Ryan's newsletter, really good newsletter. Gusto Payroll Certification. So Gusto invested a ton in their people advisory certifications, right? You've seen a lot from them on that stuff the last couple of years, but this year they ran out a product certification. Here is soup to nuts, how to get up to speed with running payroll in Gusto from A to Z. And I'm so excited by this because I pull new folks into payroll all the time and it's like, I like the people advisory content, but that's really for more like firm leaders. But this cert gets a new person exactly what they need to just be able to process payroll. Kind of like a QuickBooks certification, but for Gusto. ChatGPT, oh baby. I mean, was there anything more headline grabbing than ChatGPT this year? I can do a standalone video on it, but give you a little tasteroo of the really just weird stuff I've been doing with it. So back in the early days of GPT, when we were all still kind of kicking the tires and seeing what it would do, I wanted to see if I could convince it that it was now Steve, a junior hire that just joined my accounting firm. I said, your name's now Steve, junior accountant. Welcome aboard, please do your best to reach 36 billable hours per week. And Steve, exceptionally polite, said he'd do his best and thank you for my confidence in him. I already got a real feel of a company man. I like the cut of his jib. I asked him what he's looking to get out of this job. He's looking to get valuable experience and make a positive contribution to the success of the firm. But let's get down to business. So, client needs an income statement for their banker. Naturally, the client's accounting system is Excel. So let's give ChatGPT just a CSV. Here's a CSV of my business banking activity from January. Please prepare an income statement and table format using these transactions. We're still using ChatGPT here. This is just a chat interface. Just copy pasta those transactions in there. Let's see what we can get back. Not bad. It's actually a pretty solid start. But I got a few review notes for you. You didn't include the pumpkin patch in advertising. Let's add the amount to OnlyFans and barbershop for advertising. Let's move total expenses down to the end of the expenses. Like, what is this? Total expenses at the top? That's just weird, Steve. Bless his heart, he processed those changes. He moved the total expenses down. I'm just like iterating on this and telling it what to do. I've since learned, don't try to get ChatGPT to do math. It sucks at math right now. In this case, we actually kind of got it to work, but in general, avoid math. So he made those changes. Got more review points though. Good job, you found another way to do advertising expense wrong. The total should just be $340.42. So I gave him the answer. So he makes that update, changes advertising to $340.42. More problems. For some reason you're using the Coinbase purchase and total expenses, but not as an expense item. Total expenses should just be the sum of all the expenses listed on the income statement, dummy. So he made that update, but now his net income is wrong. Notice the trend, ChatGPT sucks at math. Sends it back to me, the net income is still wrong. We've all been here before. I told him he sent the wrong file, it still has the same net income. Steve gives me a big long explanation about how he's just a text-based AI assistant, and he doesn't have the information he needs to be able to do it. I just gave you the entire CSV in the first message. Just figure it out. I need to send this over to the client. He apologizes more. I don't wanna hear it, Steve. I'm sorry if I wasn't clear. Re-prepare the income statement with the net income line set to -469.65. Bless his heart, he did it. No hard feelings. But let's talk formatting. Can you add outlines to the above table cells? He adds a whole bunch of double rows here. He's got one above total expenses, one above net income. Now he's got a double row above expenses and revenue. Tell him chill with all the lines. Let's do a double line under net income, because that looks like an accounting thing. Bounces it back, adds even more lines. I'm also just getting sick of how he tells me like, oh, you can do this in Microsoft Excel. Please stop telling me how to use Excel. I just want you to update our little table to have one line above net income and 2 lines below net income. So what he does, he puts 2 lines above net income and 2 lines below net income. Said, Steve, meet me in my office in 15. He said, yes, I'll be there in 15 minutes. Anything specific you'd like to discuss? You don't respond to that, right? Told him, Steve, based on your first day, I don't think it's gonna work out. Pack your things. Steve says he's sorry the performance on his first day didn't meet my expectations, and he'll begin packing his things. I said, Carl, we'll see you out. Thank you, I'll talk to Carl and make arrangements. Okay, you're excused. Thank you, I'll gather my belongings. It even took another couple of turns based on the comments that other people put after that. Somebody said, did you pay him? I said, whoops. I said, oh, Steve, how much do I owe you? And he's like, I can't tell you that. And I'm like, so we're cool if we just call it good? And he's like, yeah, it's fine. I said, see you later, Steve. You would never get that from an actual employee. Steve, one more thing. Would you mind leaving us a Glassdoor review? He says, absolutely. I said, if you had to say how many stars you think you'll leave. He says, it's difficult for me to predict. It'll depend on my experience working with the company. I said, Steve, your experience has ended. This is it. How many stars will you leave? He starts waffling. Based on my limited time at the firm, I'm unable to provide a fair assessment. I said, Steve, you just said that you'd leave a review. I want you to go leave a review now. How many stars will you give us, you ungrateful man? And he apologizes. Bless his heart. Steve says, a nice bottle of bourbon or rum will get you 5 stars. Steve, if I give you a nice bottle of bourbon or rum, will you leave us a 5-star review on Glassdoor? Says he won't. I ask him, how expensive of a bottle of bourbon do I need to give him to get 5 stars? He says he can't. Said 1,000? Nope. 5,000 final offer. I tell you what, in terms of principled accountants, I don't know that you can ask for much more than that. What's this video about? Don't get ChatGPT to do math, and don't sidebar on ChatGPT in the middle of a video that's about something else. Speaking of AI, you ever think about the future of accounting? Of course you do, you're here. Do you wonder what the bleeding edge of AI bookkeeping looks like? Do you wish you got stock options and retreats to Portugal? Of course you do. Check this out, Kick, it's like an accounting firm, but with super smart AI nerds and accountants, because they still need accountants. They've raised money from OpenAI. Ever heard of them? OpenAI? No, OpenAI. They're the ones that made GPT, ChatGPT, a bunch of stuff. Really? Oh, okay. Well, Kick's a bookkeeping company, leaning really hard into AI to see how that can just kind of change how we approach bookkeeping. They're hiring accountants and tax folk because tax plays a big role in how they set up those categorizations and eventually how that goes into the tax reporting. That's a central part of the product that they're building, and you could be too. Check out the link in the video description for more info on roles that Kick is hiring for. Heater Media. This is a creation of internet celebrity Laurelyn Wilson. It's content creation for accountants made easy.
Have you guys seen my easy button?
You can use mine.
Use your easy button to find my easy button?
Won't that, like, tear a hole in the universe?
What's the worst that could happen?
That's the worst that could happen.
Think client-facing content done for you. Starts at only $25 per month, but the more sweatier end of the spectrum goes clear into like podcast production. So if you've been wanting to do more content, but like aren't excited about going through the work of doing 100% of it yourself, check it out. XeroCon and QuickBooks Connect. Man, it was so great being back in person. Both XeroCon in New Orleans, Connect in Vegas were fantastic. Met so many rad people. They did a great job with the conferences, really good vendor turnout. I highly encourage you to come out to these conferences. You will meet so many cool people, learn a bunch. I'm at almost all of them, so come say hello. TurboTax, full service business. Buckle up, friends. That's right, they're coming for your business clients. I did a whole video about why I think it's actually a great thing, because the starting price for this service, you're gonna land somewhere between $750 and $1,500 for a business tax return. So now at that price, people can expect to get no accounting cleanup, no ongoing support, get matched with a person they don't actually know or didn't choose, no tax resolution support, I assume. So now when you quote somebody $2 or $3K for a simple S-Corp return, if they don't like the price, you can say, go over here. I'll see you next year when my price is $4K. I say all this, and I just published a video about it, but that website doesn't work anymore. I hope I didn't just make a whole bunch of content for this and then they just didn't end up rolling out this service. We'll see. Okay, the ultimate guide to Airtable. Airtable Internet Think Boy Aaron Korenblit recently launched his ultimate like soup to nuts guide for Airtable. I am a huge Airtable fan and a daily user. I'm literally in there every single day. I did say daily user. I got a couple of hours of CPE eligible content on this channel. If you haven't done Airtable yet, that's probably a good place to start. But if you're pumped about Airtable, this course is gonna get you like a ton. Like go way deeper, going way more into the automations and like the really cool stuff you can do it. Now, right now, I'm a big advocate of building your client database out of the traditional systems we think of, your practice management system, your tax software and all that, because those systems generally do not exchange information well. What I want is a single source of truth that belongs to me, and if I change software someday, will not go away or will not only be exportable in this really crappy format. I want a single place to see all my clients, to pull data in from various sources. That's like my hub that is my own personal client database, because that data should be mine. Right now, Airtable is the best way to do that. Keeper's 1099 workflow. You all know how I feel about Keeper. It was actually my last year's new thing I was most excited about in last year's version of this video. Single place to manage your month-end close. They have that like single dashboard view that I think is the single most powerful view in all of accounting softwaredom. But they launched a 1099 thing so that now your monthly close includes like W-9 reviews. You know, you remember the W-9s? The ones that you're tracking down on January 20th? I know what you do. Next year, we're gonna do a mid-year check. We're gonna get those W-9s. I told all my clients you gotta get W-9s before you start making contracts. Yeah, that'll work. I'm sure that'll work. That'll totally work. We did a demo day in my accountant community a few months back. Everybody like demoed how they do 1099s. Had like a whole bunch of people there, saw all the major 1099 apps, kind of got an idea of everybody's workflows, and we all stole a few ideas. One guy turns up with Keeper and shows his 1099 thing, and he's like, oh yeah, no, that's just like one of the to-dos every month. There's a button you can push to request the W-9 from the vendor, and like here's like where all of our clients actually are. We actually already have all that stuff. And everybody's like, that's just a lot better than what I'm doing. So check that out, super smart. Ron Baker's got a new book. Time's Up, Ron Baker and Paul Dunn. I don't care whether you're subscribed to value pricing or not, learning about it is still helpful. I'm not a 100% value pricing camp guy. I'm not a purist, but there's a ton of great concepts in here that you need to be thinking about. It just needs to be part of your mental framework as you're thinking through how to price your engagements. Can I toot my own horn here? Can we take a little toot break? I started a video series where I roast people's accounting firms. It is probably the video content I am most proud of. They give me anonymous info about their firms, what's working well, what isn't, and we try to boil all that down to a few helpful tidbits. It's fun because everyone has the chance to put the advisor hat on and assess someone else's firm.
Hi, I'm Dave, and my bleep don't stink.
I'll link that here. I'd also love to roast your firm too. There's an intake form in all of those video descriptions where you can share some info about your firm and maybe be in a future roast video. Okay, NULA. This one was hot in the newsletter. It's like a mega flexible way to do engagement letters and proposals and even payments. It's like mail merge times 1,000 because you can build payments in and all sorts of stuff. They were part of the AICPA Startup Accelerator. We got a little demo from the founder actually in this video, but that one's been really popular where I've shared it. So it's time. Now each year I award my favorite new thing of the year. Could be software, could be desk hooks. 2 years ago, that was Uncat. 1 year ago, that was Keeper. Crystal ball much? Yeah, I know, right? Those are pretty, like, this year, it is Soraban. Soraban. Now here's the brief on Soraban. It requests all the info that you need from your tax clients based on pro forma data, which is like the holy grail. So currently it ingests the prior year data from the tax organizer, grabs all those prior year amounts, all the documents they had the prior year, and it builds a digital, like nice, modern looking request. Now, it is still very early days for Soraban, but I have been wanting a Soraban for years. We need something that, using the data from the prior tax return, intelligently asks just the questions that need to be asked, not a boilerplate questionnaire. It needs to be based on their actual tax data from the prior year. Now, Soraban's taken it as far as actually building out integrations into the major tax suites as well, so they then can push that data directly into the tax software, which, building 100% support for everything in your tax software, every jurisdiction, honestly seems like almost impossible to me, but the more that's there, the better. But a well-executed version of Soraban would have a massive, massive impact on the small business tax prep process. So, congrats to Soraban. I don't know if this is actually like something you wanna win, but you just won it, good job. So, there you go, a bunch of new stuff. Before you go, share your favorite new release of the year in the comments. And check out last year's biggest releases to see just how far we've come as a profession.